Hello, welcome to Broyer Rock Cemetery again. It's kind of the off season for Halloween. I'm starting to put up some other videos. These are bass shakers. They go underneath your home theater seats. You can use these for Halloween projects as well. Stay tuned, we'll do an unboxing and I'll show you how I set mine up. If you like what I do, like, subscribe, comment, share, and we'll see if these are hot or not after the mascot. Alright, so these are the bass shakers. They're by AuraSound, and I bought these for my home theater. What they do is they go underneath your chair and it gives you a fourth dimension. It gives you the bass feeling. I have a lot of love for bass, so these will help. You can also put these in Halloween projects. These are the bass shakers. They're about, I want to say, I don't know, maybe around $40 each. You can get a Dayton Audio one. It's a little cheaper, but I wanted something that handled a little bit more power. These handle pretty low frequencies. They go as low as 10 hertz. And I wanted something to go low. If you want to have something like this, I recommend you put it on a crossover. I do have a plate amp. And I do actually have 4 of these. And in a second here I'll show you Ohm's law and how this pertains to wiring and whatnot. Because each one of these is 4 ohms. I want to say it's probably 5.5 inches round by maybe, I don't know, 2.5 inches deep. And each one's got some kind of heft to it. I want to say at least 4 pounds. But they're capable of 4 ohms at 50 watts. Alright, let's explain a little bit about Ohm's law here. So you have a 4 ohm speaker, and let's just say that you have a 4 ohm amplifier. It's pretty simple. You would just hook it up normal. You know, your positive would go to your positive amplifier, negative to the negative amplifier, and you get 4 ohms. I suggest that you hook it up to an amplifier that has a crossover. Otherwise, you're going to be playing all the frequencies. Get something that's got, like, say you had 120 crossover on your receiver. What you would do is, I would cut it back. I would make even a deeper crossover with these. I'd cross them over at like 80, and then work from there, go down. So basically, you can use a 4 ohm 50 watt amplifier for this. When you introduce 2, now there's 2 different ways you can do this. Let's say you have an 8 ohm. You have an 8 ohm amplifier and you want to get 8 ohms out of this. So what you're going to do in that case is you're going to run them in series. So your positive of this speaker will go to your receiver, and your negative of this speaker will go to your receiver. And then what you're going to do is you're going to connect the negative and the positive here. This is going to give you an 8 ohm load. This is called series wiring. Okay? Now, on the flip side of it, let's just say you had a 2 ohm receiver. You would hook on a 2 ohm receiver. If you wanted to get 2 ohms, you would go positive here, positive here. Those would connect to your receiver, and then you would have negative here, and those would connect to your receiver. That would give you a 2 ohm load. But essentially, what you want to do here is do something called series to parallel wiring. What you would do is you'd connect one to the negative and then one to the positive on one side. Okay? And you would do the same thing with the other one. This is going to run these in series, so it's going to make each of these 8 ohms, okay? So here's your series, negative to positive. All right, off of that, you're going to take another wire and you're going to put one in the negative, and then we're going to put one over here to the positive. Okay, now these are essentially one side. And remember which one's negative and remember which one's positive. You're going to do the same thing with this other side. Is you're going to put a wire in this side, and then you're going to put a wire on this side. So you're going to have 4 wires. Okay, so after you get done doing your series wiring, now what you're going to do is you're going to wire it in parallel. So you're going to take the 2 negatives that you have and you're going to twist them together, and then you're going to have your 2 positives and you're going to twist them together like so. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take the positive from the amplifier, tie that in, and then you're going to take the negative of the other side that you had in series and then tie that in. And what that does is it brings it down to 4 ohms. So after all this wiring is done, I always solder my connections, because if you look, your speaker wires will start to oxidize and it'll actually turn green. If you solder them, you don't have to worry about that because they will not oxidize. But that would be your whole series to parallel wiring. So that would drop 4 of these down to the correct 4 ohm load. When you mount these, all right, make sure you get total surface area. Make sure this thing is totally on there. Like, I've seen installations where they put these like on their chairs off to the side. This isn't going to do anything for you. It might work, but you want this whole vibration coming out from the bottom, hitting this wood. And then what I do is I measured the bottom of my chair, and I just took a big enough board that would accommodate this whole thing laying down there. Now, it doesn't matter if you install it on top, like if your chair, if you don't have enough clearance to install it like underneath it, like say it was resting up here and the board was up here underneath your chair, that's not going to make a difference. If you can install it on top, that's going to be essentially the same thing. I wouldn't worry about that. And try to secure it to a part of your board on your chair that's going to give you a lot of surface. So if you can find like the long side of your board on the end, or even if you go down the whole back of the backrest as far as underneath the chair, you'll get a lot more vibration than you would with some of these videos I've seen where they install it, like they just try to get by with it over here hanging off the side. You don't do that. If you have to improvise, cut a piece of wood, pre-drill some holes, clamp it in so that when you're drilling your holes it goes through into your chair, and then just screw it down with wood screws. For the people who follow me on Halloween forum, or people that just liked and subscribed, you can use this for like an electric chair. Like have somebody sit in it, you know, hit a button, run a low frequency, you know, like a 40 hertz tone through it, and this will vibrate. Like it's a cheap way to get a startle effect. Or put it under a floorboard, you know, so someone walks over it, it'll vibrate. Just make sure it's secure, but it's really nice. You can do a lot of Halloween stuff with these things. So here are the bass shakers all mounted to the boards. So you want to mount this to the bottom so that you have one side on there, you screw in on that side, and then you screw on this side. Pretty simple. And your terminals, just make sure they're facing the right way. If you have enough clearance to mount it the other way, like that, it might be easier. But to me, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter if my terminals are facing this way. It'd be easier for me to wire it this to the next chair, to the next chair, doing it this way. So this is what it would look like completed, your one chair. So what I use is I use a little washer too to give it a little bit more surface area to grab onto. And I suggest you set your drill to like a torque setting. Like I usually have mine around like 26. And what that does is it starts to back off from going too deep. So this is on here very secure. You're going to get vibrations coming up this arm, coming up that arm, and you will feel it in your rear as well. And try to center it as center as you can get as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then from that point, you're going to start wiring it up like I showed you. So I have two of these series, and they run to these. I think they're called Vago connections. And the two that are open here are going to plug my amplifier into it. And then I'm going to set this up, and we're going to go from there. So here's your plate amp. Get one with a crossover and a gain level, you know, so you can adjust it. You don't know if it's going to be too much. It might just be something you have to turn down. The phase isn't as important when you're working with bass shakers. So what you're going to do is Y out. You don't have to plug them both in. It's just me. I just do this. It's a mono signal, so you can either plug into the left or the right and just have one cable coming off of here. I decided to do two. If you do it this way, another male, this is like 15 feet, and if you do plug this into sub 2, you're okay. If you need to somehow Y adapt off of that, then you'd get a 2 fan male, the 1 male, plug in there. This would go on your receiver. This would link off to your other subwoofer. So I have 8 subwoofers, so I'm doing this all the time. So I'm going to fire this up, see what it does. Okay, here we go. We're all finished. There's the under lighting, and the bass shakers are underneath. And I'm telling you, these things are incredible. They add so much experience. I suggest maybe isolating the feet. It doesn't vibrate at all. I have them just underneath really thin pads. I mean, you can probably put like rubber feet on the bottom of them, but it's I don't know what it would be like without them, but you can't even hear it. I mean, I thought that the 4 seats would have to be somebody sitting in them to make it so that, you know, it would be, you know, solid to the ground, but these things are incredible. And I'm going to just give you a little demonstration. I mean, it's really, I really can't, but I have the Ready Player One scene on with Explosion, and we're going to play that. And this thing just rocks. Holy smokes! Oh wow, let me just pause this. Holy moly. Alright, so I never really tried a scene with that much bass, but it makes it sound like there's so much in here. I mean, so much bass. I mean, I do have 8 subwoofers, but as far as,
adding to it, it's just, I mean, I've had 8 before these, but it just adds a whole new dimension. I love these things. If you like what I do, please like, subscribe, share. I'm off to watch some more movies. I want to give this thing a workout. I'll dial in the crossover a little bit, but, you know, like, subscribe. I give these 2 thumbs up.